Hello, guys. Welcome to a new episode of Unit 14, Lessons 1 and 2. We're going to be working on wonders of the world. So, when I say wonders of the world, I want you to think of any beautiful place that you've seen and you wish that the whole world would know about it. Now, let's get started. Let's look at our objectives of the day. Okay, so today we're going to be reading about the wonders of the world and we're going to identify and use the passive present perfect tense. Now, I want you to look at those pictures, guys, and I want you to jot down any ideas that you have on those images. So in your notebooks, I want you to write down or jot down anything that you are familiar with. Okay, so we're going to be reading the newspaper article and we're going to be checking exercise 1 to see if you guys have written anything that is familiar to you. New wonders of the world. Long ago, the ancient Greeks wrote a list of 7 amazing places in the world. The places they chose were statues, a temple in Greece, and a monument in Turkey, as well as the hanging gardens of Babylon in Iraq, the Great Pyramid at Giza, and the lighthouse of Alexandria. Only one of the original wonders of the ancient world is still standing. You won't believe. The Great Pyramid at Giza. Now, a new list of wonders had been written. In 1999, people all over the world were asked to suggest 7 new places. It took 6 years to make the decision, but now the final 7 places have been chosen. The Great Pyramid of Giza stays on the new list as a special 8th wonder. The Taj Mahal in India is one of the places on the new list. It is a white marble monument built in 1632 by the ruler of India to remember his wife. The monument was completed in 1648, but it took another 5 years to complete the fountain and gardens around it. The Taj Mahal, with its beautiful white dome and 4 minarets, has been visited by millions of people since it was built. Unfortunately, it has been damaged by pollution. For this reason, the Taj Mahal has now been added to the UNESCO's list of protected monuments. UNESCO helps to look after important sites, and it is hoped that it will preserve the Taj Mahal too. Now, guys, we're going to answer question 1. So we've already done our reading for this part. So let's check based on the images at the beginning of the unit. I want you guys to tell me if your answers are correct or not. So please check your answers that you have already written regarding the images that you have seen. So there are statues, a temple, and a monument in Greece and Turkey, the hanging gardens of Babylon, the Great Pyramids, and the lighthouse of Alexandria. Okay, let's move on to exercise 3. Now, I want you guys to complete the sentences based on the options in the word bank at the top of the page on the left-hand side. The Taj Mahal is a blank in India. We know that the Taj Mahal is a monument. Any place that is worth sightseeing or worth seeing by tourists. Let's look at number 2. The blank is made of blank. If we look at the top of the Taj Mahal, we're going to notice that this is called a dome. It can also be found in mosques around the world and some churches sometimes. Now, what is it made of? It is made of marble. Marble is a kind of material that is used for flooring. It is similar to concrete as well. Let's look at the 4th one. It has tall minarets. So minarets are basically similar to towers, okay, such as the labeled section on the left-hand side of the image. Now we're going to move on. Let's check our answers. So number 2 is dome, 3 marble, and 4 minarets. Let's check our questions based on the text that we have read together. How were the new wonders of the world chosen? So I want you guys to look for keywords such as wonders of the world and chosen or suggested or asked. Okay, now the first answer is people all over the world were asked to suggest 7 new places. So how were the wonders chosen? People were asked to suggest, or people were asked to vote for the new wonders of the world. Let's look at question 2. Which original wonder of the world is still on the list? So, which is the only wonder that is still on the list? It hasn't been changed. Of course, we need to be proud because it is the Great Pyramid at Giza. Let's look at question 3. Why did the ruler of India build the Taj Mahal? The ruler of India built the Taj Mahal for a specific reason, which is he built it to remember his wife, his beautiful wife. Let's move on to question 4. Why does the Taj Mahal need to be protected? Why do you think we need to protect the Taj Mahal? Something was happening to it. It has been damaged by pollution. And the last question, what does the UNESCO do? If you look at the end of the text, you may find the answer. The UNESCO helps to look after important sites in the world. So the UNESCO always helps to look after important sites in the world. Now, guys, let's recap. What do you remember? If I say they have lost their keys, this is the present perfect tense. It is usually using have or has plus a past participle. It's used for something that happens in the past and its effect still affects the present. So it's something that has happened in the past, but it still has an effect. It is for something that happened in the past and it still has an effect that is existing today in the present. Now, I want you guys to compare those two sentences. They have painted the picture and the picture has been painted, or the pictures have been painted. Now, if we compare those two, we'll notice that the verb tense is kind of different. Okay, so if I use has or have plus been plus past participle, this is called the present perfect passive. Examples of these are has been played, have been discussed, has been eaten, and please remember that the subject or the doer is not mentioned in such a type of verb. So if we're using a present perfect passive tense, the subject or the doer of the action is not mentioned in the sentence. Now let's move on to lesson 2. Now I want you guys to underline the verbs of has or have been plus the verb. The first one is done for you. The final 7 places have been chosen. A new list of wonders has been written. We're going to underline has been written. Let's go to number 3. The Taj Mahal has been visited by millions of people. So we're going to underline has been visited. So let's look at question 4. It has been damaged by pollution. In that case, we're going to underline has been damaged. Now, I want you guys to look at the examples in red. We're talking about the present perfect passive. So, plans have been made for the next class trip. In this example, we're using have plus been plus perfect tense. Now, do we know the doer of the action who has made the plans? No, we do not know. So this is the present perfect passive. We use the present perfect passive to talk about recent events or general experiences without a specific time, when it is more important to talk about an action than the person who did it. So the main focus in the present perfect passive is to focus on the action rather than who is doing that action. The dishes haven't been washed yet. We are using have not been and washed. So in that case, we are not focusing on the doer of the action, we're focusing on the action itself. The form is have or has not been plus past participle. Now let's look at the second part. The next date for our book club hasn't been decided yet. The painting has been sold for a lot of money. In this case, we're using have not been or has not been plus the past participle. Let's look at the third part. We can use by to say who or what did the action. So I might say something like this. The prize has been won by a 15-year-old boy. Now, you may use the grammar box to answer questions. Let's look at question 2 or exercise 2. rewrite the sentences in the present perfect passive. The first one is done for you as a model. Let's read it together. They have painted the building again. So we want to hide the doer of the action. So we might say the building has been painted again. So we're using has been and the participle. Let's look at number 2. Someone has drawn a picture in my diary. So we want to turn this into a present perfect passive. So we will say, a picture has been drawn in my diary. So it has been drawn by someone, but we're not sure who. Let's look at number 3. Our school has won the competition. Now, if we want to turn it into present perfect passive, we will use the competition has been won by our school. Now, guys, I want you to try and answer those questions in your notebooks as we go along. Let's move on to number 4. Archaeologists have found an ancient building in the desert. So if we turn it into present perfect passive, we will say, an ancient building has been found in the desert. And of course, we know that it's found by archaeologists. It's written in brackets, but you don't have to use by archaeologists. It's extra information. Let's move on to number 5. We have collected a lot of money for charity. Now, if I want to turn this into the present perfect passive, I will say a lot of money has been collected for charity. We know that it's by us, but we're not going to mention it. It is placed in brackets for you to understand only. Let's look at number 6. Let's look at number 6. They have planted trees along the river. Now, if we turn this into present perfect passive, we will say, trees have been planted along the river. Okay, now we're going to move to exercise 3, our favorite part where we get to practice speaking. I want you guys to ask your parents about the changes to your city or village over the last 10 years. Make sentences using some of these words and the present perfect passive. So if we look at the speech bubbles on the right-hand side of our image, we can read it together. A monument has been put in the square. Some new shops have opened near the school. So guys, you have a word box, 2 word boxes to help you create your sample sentences. So now I want you guys to ask your parents, make sure you collect information about the changes that have been made in your city. I am sure there are many changes that have happened over the last 10 years. Now, you may take a look at the sample answers, but I always encourage you to create your own examples. So let's look at the first one. We can say, new shops have been opened up recently. New shops have been opened up recently. The second example is, streets have been cleaned up. Streets have been cleaned up. The third example is, a monument has been put up at the city. And the last example is, the house has been decorated. Now, guys, what have we taken so far? Or what have we covered so far? We have covered new vocabulary words and we have covered passive present perfect tense. So please make sure you revise and always do your best. Thank you.